What if everything you believed about making your home look expensive was completely wrong? Most people spend years buying more things, more furniture, more decor, more color, and their space still feels like something is missing. That feeling? It has a name. And today you're going to understand exactly what it is and how to fix it. Before we go any further, if you've ever walked into a room and felt something shift inside you, a sense of calm, beauty, and warmth all at once, that's what we're building toward today. If that sounds like what your home deserves, hit subscribe right now. Share this with someone who's been trying to figure out why their space doesn't feel right. And if you're already nodding along, tap like. Let's get into it. Here's what no one in the design world wants to say out loud. The gap between a room that looks like a magazine cover and one that feels almost there has almost nothing to do with budget. It's not about owning expensive things. It's about understanding how things work together: proportion, restraint, intention. These are the words designers use behind closed doors, and they're the exact words we're going to break down today, in a way that actually makes sense. Let's start with something that sounds simple but changes everything. The way you use fabric in a room tells the story of the whole space before anyone even sits down. Most people throw a few cushions on a sofa and call it done. But designers think about textiles the way a musician thinks about a song. It's not one note. It's a layered composition. Your sofa needs cushions in different textures, not just different colors. Think about the way rough linen sits next to smooth velvet, the way a chunky woven throw feels against a sleek leather armrest. That contrast is what creates richness. A bed that feels luxurious isn't just a matter of thread count. It's about having multiple layers, something structured, something soft, something slightly unexpected. The rule is simple: vary the texture, keep the color story tight. When everything is the same color but different in feel, the room quietly says, "This was thought about." Now let's talk about something that makes people nervous: scale, the size of things in your room. The number one mistake that keeps homes feeling small, flat, and forgettable is choosing pieces that are too small. A rug that barely fits under the coffee table. Artwork that looks like a postage stamp on a big wall. A sofa that's lost in a large room. These choices come from fear. The fear of going too big, taking up too much space, being too bold. But here's what designers know. Bold scale reads as confidence. A mirror that runs nearly floor to ceiling doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels like the room was designed. An oversized piece of art on a single wall doesn't feel cluttered. It feels intentional. When you size things up, the whole room lifts. The fear of going large has quietly ruined more interiors than any bad color choice ever could. This next idea might be the most powerful shift in how you think about decorating. Every room needs one thing that stops you. Not 10 things, not 5. One piece that carries the weight of the entire space. A chandelier with presence, a painting that fills the wall, a console table carved from a single material that makes you pause. This is what designers call the hero piece, and everything else in the room exists to support it, quietly, without competition. The mistake most people make is filling a room with things that all fight for attention. Nothing wins that fight. Everything just cancels each other out. But when there's one clear focal point and everything else steps back, the room suddenly has a voice. It says something. That's the feeling you've been chasing. And speaking of stepping back, one of the most underused tools in home design is nothing. Literally, empty space. Negative space. The areas where there's no object, no decoration, no fill. In luxury interiors, empty space is not a sign that the room isn't finished. It's a signal that someone made a deliberate choice to let what's there breathe. Every object in a room becomes more meaningful when it's not crowded. A single sculptural vase on a shelf hits differently then that same vase surrounded by 10 other things. Go through your home and ask yourself honestly about every surface. Does this add something real? Does it mean something or bring beauty? If the answer is no, it doesn't belong there. Removing things is not giving up. It's editing, and editing is a skill that transforms spaces for free. Let's talk about color. Specifically, the fear of not having enough of it. Walk into any truly high-end space and notice what's not there. Loud color, bold patterns competing with each other, a different accent wall in every room. What you find instead is quiet, warm whites, soft creams, grays with a hint of warmth, pale taupes that shift in different light. These aren't boring choices. You don't need to redesign your entire home overnight. That's one of the biggest misconceptions people have when they start thinking about creating a beautiful living space. They imagine transformation as something dramatic, expensive, and immediate, like tearing everything down, buying all new furniture, repainting every wall, and starting completely from zero. But that's not how timeless interiors are actually built. In reality, the most beautiful homes are not created in a single moment of transformation. They are shaped slowly, intentionally, and with patience. They evolve over time through small, thoughtful decisions that gradually change the way a space feels. True design is not about speed, it's about awareness. The truth is, every well-designed home begins with one simple decision. Not a renovation, not a shopping list, not a complete overhaul. Just one decision, one room, one space, one area of your home that deserves your attention first. Instead of trying to perfect every corner of your house at once, pause and look around you. Choose the room where you spend the most time. Maybe it's your living room where you unwind after a long day. Maybe it's your bedroom where you start and end your routine. Or perhaps it's a small corner where you sit quietly with your thoughts. That is where the transformation begins. Because when one space begins to feel calm, intentional, and thoughtfully designed, it changes your relationship with your entire home. You no longer feel overwhelmed by everything that still needs to be done. Instead, you begin to understand what is actually possible with simplicity and clarity. And that shift alone is powerful. Start with a quiet foundation. Before thinking about decoration, patterns, or styling, focus on the base of the room. The foundation sets the emotional tone for everything that follows. Choose colors that don't overwhelm the senses. Warm whites that soften the edges of a room. Gentle creams that reflect natural light. Soft taupes that add depth without heaviness. Earthy neutrals that feel grounded and calm. These are not colors that demand attention. They are colors that create space for light, for texture, and for silence. And in a world that is already visually loud, that kind of quietness becomes a form of luxury. But a foundation is not just about color. It is also about material. Natural materials bring a sense of authenticity that synthetic surfaces often lack. Wood that shows grain and character. Stone that carries subtle imperfections. Linen that softens over time. Cotton that feels lived in, rather than staged. These materials do not compete for attention. Instead, they support everything around them. They allow the room to breathe. Once the foundation is in place, something interesting happens. The space stops feeling like it is trying too hard. It begins to feel natural, balanced, and open. Then comes the next step, choosing one focal point. Every well-designed room needs something that quietly anchors it. Not something loud or overwhelming, but something intentional. One piece that naturally draws the eye and gives the room direction. It could be a sculptural fireplace that becomes the emotional center of the space. It could be an oversized artwork that adds depth and personality to a blank wall. It could be a handcrafted dining table that tells a story through its texture and shape. Or it could be a statement light fixture that gently defines the atmosphere of the entire room. Whatever you choose, The key is restraint. One strong element is enough, because when everything is emphasized, nothing stands out. But when one piece is allowed to lead, everything else naturally falls into harmony around it. Think of it as the heart of the room, not the loudest part, but the most meaningful one. From there, the rest of the space becomes supporting detail rather than competition. Now, shift your attention to something most people underestimate: lighting. Lighting is one of the most powerful tools in interior design, yet it is often treated as an afterthought. Many people focus on making a room brighter, when in reality, brightness is not the goal. Atmosphere is. Instead of asking, "How can I make this room brighter?" ask a different question. How can I make this space feel warmer? Warmth changes everything. Replace harsh, overhead lighting with softer, layered sources of light. A table lamp placed beside a reading chair can instantly create intimacy in a corner that once felt empty. Thanks to watching my video. Subscribe my channel for more videos.